A single tooth becomes a deadly talon. A vertebra transforms into a crucial wing bone. In the 1800s, during the early days of paleontology, museums and newspapers took tiny fossil fragments and spun them into incredible tales of dragons, complete with fancy Latin names. Think about the iconic Crystopallis dinosaurs. These huge, visually stunning sculptures that looked more like overgrown, puffy lizards than what we know today. Artists drew pterodactyls as bat-like imps, and marine reptiles were imagined as crocodiles with extra flair. The public, already steeped in folklore, let their imaginations run wild, picturing fire-breathing monsters soaring through the sky. A big part of this imaginative frenzy came from the limits of technology. Scientists back then didn't have CT scanners, DNA analysis, or advanced labs. A single tooth might be all they had to represent an entire species, leading to some pretty wild guesses. Sometimes, mismatched skeletons were assembled just to impress wealthy patrons who funded the expeditions. There were economic pressures too. Quarrymen were often paid more for spectacular finds, and patrons loved a sensational discovery story. The infamous bone wars between paleontologists Cope and Marsh only made things worse. With a flurry of misclassifications driven by their intense rivalry, they'd rush to publish, sometimes even sticking the wrong head on the right body just to meet an exhibition deadline. But this era of dragon-proofing wasn't all bad. It actually sparked a massive public fascination with deep time and prehistoric life. As museum collections grew and our scientific understanding deepened, researchers started to correct the record. Ichthyosaurs were no longer seen as crocodiles. Pterosaurs weren't bats. And dinosaurs were definitely not lizards. Pterosaur wings, once imagined as leathery devil capes, were recognized as sophisticated structures for flight. Dinosaurs transformed from sluggish, swamp-dwelling dragons into dynamic, warm-blooded athletes. The story of whales was completely flipped, from ancient fish to land-dwelling mammals that returned to the sea. The dragons of the past didn't just disappear. They evolved into better, more refined scientific questions. So, the next time you see a headline screaming monster found, take a moment to smile. Then ask the right questions. What bones were actually found? Where did they come from? What does the rock they were found in tell us about their world? The romance and wonder of those old stories first drew us into paleontology, but it's the rigorous search for truth that keeps the science moving forward. Those beautiful, flawed posters from the past had an undeniable charm. The goal isn't to lose that sense of wonder, but to channel it into more precise and exciting discoveries. Thanks for joining me on this journey through paleontology's gorgeous mistakes. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know what historical mix-up you want me to explore next.